Hey everyone, and welcome. So today we're exploring the morning habits of history's absolute most powerful figures. Look, if you're trying to optimize your mindset, understanding the strategic value of insights, especially those derived from antiquity's greatest leaders, well, it gives us a serious real-world advantage. We're going to dive straight into our source text for this explainer to break down exactly how the absolute apex of ancient leadership actually began their mornings, and, more importantly, what that means for us today. Let's get right into it. I want you to take just a quick second and truly imagine waking up tomorrow. But instead of just checking your email, dealing with that morning commute, or, managing the house, imagine waking up to the immense, literal crushing pressure of ruling an entire empire. We're talking millions of lives, vast economies, constant border warfare, and just endless internal political scheming. And all of that is resting squarely on your shoulders before you've even had a chance to pull off the covers. Honestly, how do you even begin to process that? How did Roman emperors start their day without immediately becoming completely paralyzed by the sheer overwhelming scale of those responsibilities?
Well, the answer actually lies in this really intriguing combination of ideas from our core text, the Stoic morning routine of Roman emperors. Okay, let's dive into this. On one hand, you've got the ultimate, completely unrivaled worldly power of an emperor, right? But on the other, you have this rigid, structured, deeply inward-facing philosophy that's designed entirely around internal self-control and routine. To truly grasp how effective this was, we've got to break this concept down piece by piece. We need to see exactly why the most powerful people on the face of the earth relied on such a highly specific mental framework just to get out of bed.
Part 1. The Roman Emperor, Supreme Ancient Power.
When we look at the words Roman emperors, we're looking at leaders who faced a daily scale of chaos that demanded an absolutely extraordinary mental foundation. They couldn't just wing it. They couldn't just hit the snooze button and cross their fingers for a quiet Tuesday. Without a rock-solid mental strategy, the chaos, the betrayals, the endless crises of the empire, it would literally consume them. And the strategic value of studying these insights is recognizing that the higher the stakes are in life, the more grounded your mind has to be to weather the storm. Moving on to Part 2, a Stoic morning routine, grounding the emperor. So isolating this phrase, the Stoic morning routine, I want you to really ponder why a routine of all things was so critically essential to their survival. Think about it. When your day is basically guaranteed to be hijacked by the demands of an entire empire, the morning is often the only sliver of time you actually control. For these leaders, establishing a routine wasn't just some trendy modern productivity hack. It involved quiet, deliberate reflection to gather their thoughts before all that chaos kicked off. It was, quite literally, a survival tactic, a way to fortify their psychology, build this impenetrable mental wall, and establish internal order before stepping out into the wild arena of global politics.
But notice that word Stoic, because this wasn't just any morning routine. It was deeply, deliberately rooted in Stoicism. By applying this specific philosophy to their morning, they weren't just waking up, They were strapping on psychological armor. A core practice they used was premeditatio malorum, which translates to the premeditation of evils. Before even leaving their quarters, they'd mentally rehearse facing difficult people, betrayals, absolute disasters. Doing this ensured they could deflect those inevitable arrows of daily life with a calm, rational, and just completely unshakable mind.
Which brings us to Part 3, starting the day, the daily dawn. This comparison right here illustrates such a fascinating dynamic. On one side, you have Roman emperors, the ultimate historical symbol of wealth and absolute authority. But on the other, it's juxtaposed with a profoundly mundane universal action. They started their day. It just shows us that even these gods among men had to simply rub the sleep out of their eyes and consciously decide to begin again, just like us. It totally levels the playing field. It proves that mastering that delicate transition from sleep to waking consciousness is a universal requirement for effective leadership, for sure, whether you lead an entire empire or you're just leading yourself. So bringing it all together, power, rigorous philosophy, and consistent routine all bind together right here. Think about it. If a philosophy-backed morning routine, complete with mentally preparing for adversity and establishing that internal fortress, if that was the secret weapon used to manage the staggering, crushing pressures of ruling the ancient world, well, it possesses immense practical utility for navigating the stresses and complexities of our modern lives, too. It's a truly timeless strategy for mental dominance. So that leaves us with a pretty big question. If a Stoic morning routine was how Roman emperors started their day, how will you start yours? Now, you might not be ruling a vast ancient empire, but you are the absolute ruler of your own life, your own career, your own mindset, and your daily choices. Don't just let the day happen to you. Dictate the terms of your day right from the moment you wake up. Build that mental fortress before you ever even step out the door. Anyway, thanks so much for joining me to explore this explainer today, and I will see you next time.